Welcome to Reimagining Port Cities, Understanding Space, Society and Culture. Let's see who's at the helm, that is, who makes port cities. This week, we are focusing on the diverse stakeholders in port city regions, their powers and tools, as well as their networks. Stakeholders in port city regions are diverse and have different degrees of power, longevity, and control over space, policy making, and funding. You can think of them as puppets on a stage, rearranging their game through multiple acts. An international shipping company such as Maersk, CGA, CGM, or Sinotrans has different interests and decision-making powers and a different spatial impact than a terminal operator, COSCO, DP World, or APM terminals come to mind, or a logistic company, a port authority, a local government, a tourist bureau, or an NGO. And yet all of them have different goals and experiences than port workers, seamen, fishermen, or citizens. This is just a partial list of the actors involved in facilitating the flows of goods and people in and through port cities. Some of them endure for a long time, such as public authorities. Others exist only for a limited number of years. Many of them have evolved and adapted to new circumstances and technologies. New ones will emerge in the future. Whereas port cities are competitors, collaboration among these actors is important as it is necessary to facilitate continued flows of goods and people from sea to land and from land to sea. This means that compromises have to be made to satisfy the broad range of interests. It often takes a long time for actors to change their behavioral patterns or to change the laws and regulations that guide them. In many cases, development paths are cemented or locked in, to use path dependence terminology, and change becomes difficult. Once a development path is established in space, built in the form of wharves, docks, or other infrastructure, it can determine port and city functioning for decades, if not centuries to come. But new challenges like the energy transition, migratory movements, and climate change require the development of new structures. They require actors to collaborate at multiple scales and to find new opportunities for shared development of port and city. Over the centuries, port cities have used different types of governance structures, private or public, elected or nominated, democratically legitimized, appointed or deployed. Each governance system has found ways to adapt to changing needs. However, after port cities have invested heavily in infrastructure over long periods of time, fundamental change can be difficult. Rethinking existing ports and cities requires investment in new infrastructures, urban developments, and buildings. A comparative mapping of port city relations in Rotterdam, Hamburg, and London has shown changing relationships between ports and cities that may also be indicative of current and future planning attitudes, as you will see during this week. It often takes a critical juncture, as it is called, according to the concept of path dependence. Such a critical juncture is a situation of uncertainty, where decision makers can choose different development paths. An external change, such as a financial crisis, technological innovation, or a local one, such as poor working conditions, can provide incentives for institutions to select one path of institutional development over another. The story of London provides an example. In the case of London, the resilience of the port function depended on the workers. Living conditions in the traditional working class areas were harsh, as shown in the poverty maps by Charles Booth. The port's competitiveness was purchased on the back of precarious life in the overcrowded slums of the East End, and it was added by the great number of people seeking employment. The dock workers' strike in 1889, for example, set into motion a path change that changed employment conditions, poor pay, and the arbitrary recruitment system. Wage improvements achieved after the strike and the improved position of the unions, however, did not last long. Strikes continued into the period after World War II. Between 1945 and 1955, there were many more strikes directed mainly against the reduction of jobs. Thereafter, cargo handling began to decline dramatically, and the docks began closing, almost in reverse order of their formation, oldest first. Containerization was a critical juncture, a situation of uncertainty that required urban and port city stakeholders to make decisions about the future of their port activity and about the reuse of the former port areas. The unique constellation and interplay of port city stakeholders and their willingness to change ultimately determines the character of a port city. So this week we ask, what is the unique actor constellation in your port city?